for doing our interview with us.
You're welcome.
So, where did you go to college?
I went to school at Oklahoma State University. I got all 3 of my degrees there.
What degrees do you have?
I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in counseling and student personnel, and my PhD is in counseling psychology.
All right. What was your original major always psychology?
Actually, I was one of those students who didn't declare a major until my junior year.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Which I'm not saying is a good thing necessarily, but it worked out okay for me. I initially thought that I wanted to be a business major, but I never declared it. But I took business classes and then realized that after accounting too, that really I wasn't a business major.
What made you realize you wanted to go into psychology?
Well, I took Intro to Psych, and I actually did that my freshman year, and I really liked it. I did not like my teacher so much, but I really liked the content, the information that was in there. And then I got distracted because a friend of mine that lived on the floor that I lived on said, "Oh, but psychology is so hard." And somehow that, I was smart. I don't know what happened to me, but for some reason that distracted me a little bit, and I thought, I'm not sure that psychology is the way I should go. And then I took another psychology class and changed my mind.
All right. And we heard that you do community service or you help out a lot. What kind of community service do you do?
Currently I volunteer every week at Families Feeding Families. And so that is a personal volunteer opportunity. I've done that probably, I think I'm on my 9th year now. I go once a week, I go on Mondays. And then once a month I take a group from Southeastern. And so that group, rotates. Sometimes it's a student group, sometimes it's faculty, and other times it's staff. So that's kind of my main thing, but I really do other things too. Like I'm on the planning committee for Colton's Run, which is coming up this month. And I do those sorts of community activities.
What made you want to get involved in a community like that?
I know that it's really important to be connected to where you live, or at least I believe that it's really important. And I've always done volunteer work. For years and years. It's been a variety of different types. But when I got involved with Families Feeding Families, I chose that because at that time my daughter was small. She was about 5, and I wanted to do something that I could take her with me. And then it just kind of grew out of that. I had no idea I'd be there this much longer after I started.
All right. And how important do you think it is for your students to get involved in the community?
I think it's very important, and so I like to give them opportunities to be able to do that. One of the things, I teach in psychology, and some of the information that we learn about that's psychology related is that being connected to your community and to other people is really important, not just for mental health, but for health as well. And so my hope is that I can get students, interested and involved in that, and that's something they'll take with them after they leave college.
All right. So back to counseling, since you have a degree in counseling, what made you choose counseling out of all the psychology degrees and all that you could
do? It sort of happened by accident. It was because of opportunities that came along. When I was working or getting ready to transition from my bachelor's degree to my master's degree, I was an RA at that time, and I was really involved in the residence halls and thought that I wanted to do campus-related counseling kinds of activities and be on a college campus in that capacity at that time. And so that's why I chose that counseling and student personnel route at that time. And then as part of that, I did practicum and internships and realized that I really liked counseling, and I wasn't so sure that I wanted to stay in residence life for the rest of my life. And so it was just a matter of trying out some different things and then hitting on something that I liked. However, if I were to go back and do it again, I don't know I would go the same way. I might make some different choices.
What do you think you would do instead?
Well, I tell you, there are 2 areas that I wish I had more expertise in, and one of them is neuropsychology. Because there have been so many advances in the past 20 years with technology that we have to be able to actually see the functioning of the brain that we didn't have back then. I think that would be really cool. And then the other one is health psychology. And I've done some kind of self-training, done continuing education and workshops and that sort of thing related to that. But that's not what my degree is in. So I'm I might go one of those if I had to do again.
And what made you want to be a professor at Southeastern?
Well, when I finished, part of your doctoral program in an APA-approved doctoral program is that you have to do a year of internship. And so that usually, it's a competitive process, kind of like when you go to medical school. So you're competing against people from all over the country. And so I went to Springfield, Missouri the year I was on internship, and Tim was still in Tulsa. And we had a conversation about January of that year, what we were going to do when I finished. And he said, I'd kind of like to live someplace like Durant. He had done his undergraduate work here. And I saw an advertisement in the Monitor, which is the American Psychological Association's monthly, it's not really a magazine, but it's more magazine than journal. And so I called him and asked how serious he was, and he said, really, I liked it. And so I came and interviewed and thought, if nothing else, that would give me an opportunity to have my vita in order and kind of get going on the job, hunting process. And then I came here and interviewed, and I really liked it. I liked the people that I interviewed with, and I liked the students, and it just felt like a good fit. So that's where I ended up.
What do you like most about this community in Southeastern?
It's hard to say what I like most because there are so many different things. I like the feel of Southeastern because it's small, and so I know everybody. I mean, I go, sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing maybe, but I'm in the community and I see people that I know. I see Katie at Roma's or at Bob's, or I see people when I go to do volunteer work, and so it's kind of fun to have those easy connections outside. And then I like being at Southeastern because I feel like I have been supported here, and so the things that I have been interested in doing, I've just asked to do them, and for the most part I get to do what I want to do, and it's an easy place for me to be.
All right. So how do you spend your time when you're not in your office or teaching or doing community work?
I do lots of different things. I like to exercise, and so right now, and it changes kind of periodically. I think of myself as a runner, but right now I'm injured, so I'm not doing any running. So instead I'm doing boot camp, and I do yoga, and spend some time with my friends. We walk a couple of times a week in the evening and try not to do a whole lot of TV. But really mostly I spend time with my friends and my family. We like to eat. We like to go out. We just kind of like to be together. And that's probably how I spend the biggest amount. And I have a 13-year-old, so some of that is decided by her schedule as well.
All right, is there any advice you would give to the freshman in the honors program?
Yeah, I have taught honor students, like a section of Intro to Psych that's specific to honor students, and then I've had other random ones just in classes. And I think that the one thing that I would say is start now figuring out how to manage your stress. Because what I see is that as honor students go along, that they tend to get really stressed about things because they had it easier before they got here. And then once they get here, trying to figure out how to maneuver school when you have to put more time and effort and thought into it when they haven't had to do it before, so they don't always know how to do that. And a lot of times honor students are kind of perfectionistic, and so they have these sometimes unrealistic ideas about how well they need to do, and you need to figure that out because it will eat your lunch if you don't figure it out now.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Hall.
You're welcome.